Good morning, everyone. We are live now. So, thank you, everyone. This is Tuesday. It's Transformation Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Riya Wang. I'm also is I also is a certified life coach and a transformation healing mentor. So in the past years, I've been traveling around the world to interview people from all over the world. So they all have different race, different age, and different culture. I always ask the same questions. What does transformation healing meaning to you? Then today I have the beautiful guest, Guan. Did I say your name correct, Guan?
Perfect,
Guan.
Riya.
Oh my gosh. Guan is an amazing human designer specialist. Today, this show will be interesting. I'm excited to see how it's going to share her story and also share his knowledge with all of you. So before I would introduce more about the Guan, I would like invite the Guan coming to say hello with everyone. Maybe you can introduce yourself a little bit better than what I did.
Thank you, Riya. Hello, everyone. It is a true pleasure and an honor to be here with you, Riya, today, and with everyone who's joining us. I'm really thrilled to be part of Transformation Healing and your podcast. And yeah, I would be delighted to share a little bit about myself, and then hopefully we can get into a little Q&A and learn a little bit more about how transformation healing works together.
That's beautiful. So before we start to talk about what is transformation healing, Glenn, I wanted to ask you, we all go through challenge in our lives.
Yes.
So what is the challenge you overcoming and to define who you are today?
Absolutely.
Share some of your story with us.
Absolutely. So yes, I come from a background, this is really how I see transformation healing. It does come from my journey. I have literally been a worker all my life, and I worked and really worked. And I feel like I was put here to do work, and I've been really good at it. I got my first official job at 15, but even before that, I was babysitting. I did so much volunteer work, even as a kid. And so I really feel like I was a contributor and highly productive. To wit, I've even been referred to as the machine at work by my colleagues, and hugely successful for the most part. My husband and I have owned and operated a handful of really successful businesses. I've won statewide and national awards for sales and coaching, and was even named Coach of the Year in one of my roles. And I also was financially successful, both for myself and for the people that I worked for. I lived, for the most part of my life, lived what most would think wasn't a very amazing life. And I am really lucky to have a partner in life who is incredibly supportive and a creative. And I live in a really beautiful place. And frankly, for many, many years, things appeared to be going perfectly well. My career was gangbusters. My employers really loved my work and continued to promote me. But deep down, there was always this unsettled kind of walking on eggshells feeling and vibe. I never felt like what I did was enough. When I had a win, I never really stopped to celebrate it. It was always right on to the next thing. And I also found myself changing jobs and changing careers at a faster clip the more I progressed in life. And a few years back, in fact, I made a major career change. And what it really was, when I look back at it, I was essentially jumping out of a toxic work environment. And what I jumped into wasn't at all what I thought. And I truly went through a period where I floundered. And despite kind of pulling it all back together and resuming, this successful career trajectory, things just never felt quite right. I always felt like I was chasing after something and never really living in my life. There was always a feeling that there was something lacking and this growing chasm. And despite still having a lot of, success, achievement, I just felt more and more out of control. The nervousness that I always felt was starting to border on anger, and I was always anxious. I wasn't sleeping well. And over time, my health, my relationship with my husband, they began to suffer. And I continued to work. I spent my days and nights and weekends working and thinking I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, but always something was never quite right. So this success, this thing that I really thought was the it, that was supposed to feel great, it didn't. And if anything, it really made me feel trapped.
I think a lot of the people, a lot of us probably have that same
Yeah.
feelings resonate with what you're feeling. I think, unfortunately, still have a lot of people, they still living the life in the environment. They hate the job, but
Yeah.
they still stay. It's it's challenging for people sometimes to change, even
Yes.
the environment is not comfortable.
Exactly.
So how can you, I would like to invite you to give some tips like that. So if someone don't like what they do, so what is the first step they can take then to make that move without fear?
Yeah. So, for me, I had to pull out. I had to actually completely pull away, walk away. But I think for many people, they don't necessarily need to go to those extremes. I think recognizing and acknowledging the fact that you're not happy in your current path and giving yourself permission to explore other paths, to explore other ways of living, of making a living, of working, that do provide more joy and more happiness. And whether that be a little at a time, or if it's something that's viable in someone's life, making that massive shift and doing it in one fell swoop. But however that happens, it obviously needs to be in a way that's supportive of the individual, of the person. And so, for me, I had to do it like ripping off a Band-Aid or walking off a cliff. And, but yeah, I think others don't necessarily need to make that big a leap. They can take baby steps into their new paths, but hopefully they can make the change. And it really does. It can be a very fearful place to find yourself, but finding the courage, and then also finding support, whether it be support from friends and loved ones or support here in groups and communities like this one.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Gwen. I heard you said first baby step is give you permission, right? Give yourself the permission to take
Absolutely.
baby step. Even sometimes we scared, but it's okay to be scared.
It is
That's
okay to be scared. Absolutely.
it's okay to be scared, and it's okay take a baby step, then give you permission to move forward. That
Exactly.
was really beautiful. Thank you, Gwen.
Of
So
course.
that is the I feel when you speak, that's truly come from your heart to share that how you feel. I want everybody hear this or learning here with us. So then think about what is the baby step you can take. It's the first things, right? So thank you for sharing, Gwen. Then talk about how you become the human designer from that part environment now become the master of the human designer to help other people. So what I think a lot of people doesn't know what mean is human designer.
Certainly. So for me, of course, I completely and utterly had to go through this massive burnout. And then I went through a year of depression, burnout, anxiety. I was truly at the lowest low, a rock bottom. And I was seeking help where I could. I found a really wonderful community, much like this one. And I realized that everyone was describing themselves or introducing themselves using this funny language. Like I'm a 2-4 projector, or I'm a 5-1 emotional generator, or I'm a 6-2 manifester. And I was like, what in the world are they talking about? And one Google search, and I found out about human design, and it was like lightning bolts, light bulbs went off. It was truly like I found exactly what it was that I was supposed to be learning about. And frankly, it really became my purpose. Shortly after I discovered human design, the system, which is essentially, in my opinion, the most definitive self-remembering, self-illuminating system. And I literally have tried all of them over the course of my life. I've always been searching for the answer. And human design truly for me was, it was illuminating. I quickly found myself, it was like doors opened. My healing journey truly began when I found out my human design type and learned more and more about my own human design. And it prompted me to want to deepen my knowledge and to continue studying. And the more I learned, the more I wanted to share. And I realized that this was truly the new purpose for me, was to share human design with others, and hopefully it would help illuminate their healing journey, and in fact catalyze their growth and development, and make it far more easy, because we can go down so many paths, and it can take a long time, but I found that when human design is introduced, it oftentimes will really speed up someone's journey, and their destination actually becomes much clearer to them, and their path in life becomes much less resistant.
That sounds really, really interesting. As when you talk about people speak the language, that was thinking about also when I was studying in the Chalpa, Deepa Chalpa's class, we all students, we talk about, oh, I'm Rita, oh, you're Peter, oh, you are Kava. So it's the same like you are in the human design. You use
Exactly.
some language like that, right? So
Precisely.
that is really, I think we have so many ways for the healing.
Yes.
Then each way bring a different healing path to different people.
Right.
No matter what the path you are choose, the important is what is the path you choose that is fit for you. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. There are so many ways to get to, to get to you, to get to the real you. And yes, each one of us finds the path that resonates, and that's the real beauty.
Sometimes when we talk about what is the real you, do you think a lot of us living with our true self, or is even they don't know who they are?
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head, Riya. I think many of us, because of the conditioning that we receive throughout our lives, frankly, starting from the moment we're born, there are so many expectations. There are, cultural influences, our parents, our friends, our teachers, all the institutions that we bump up against, and then just cultural and societal norms. And then we also have genetic influences that are a little less obvious that do come into play. But now we understand more and more through the study of epigenetics that what happens to our ancestors, to our immediate parents, grandparents, and so on, actually do influence our own path. And those things can truly take you off your authentic path. And that's why I've found that human design can be incredibly helpful, because it truly shows you exactly who you are underneath all of that. And so, the deconditioning journey, the experiment that you can then undergo while learning more and more and more about your gifts, your superpowers, all of the energies that truly make you authentically you. That becomes, a new path of healing.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I believe each of us, when we come to this world, we have a purpose. So sometimes we get lost in the cultures, in some environment, or the way how we grew up. So that's we living the life with a lot of anxiety, stress, then lost what we really make us happy, right? So to understand who true you are, to alignment your purpose, alignment your true self, find your purpose, that will bring more joy in your life.
Absolutely.
The human design is one. I hear just tell Karen, you are telling me one of this. I can't wait. So can you share a little bit more? What does human design? I think a lot of people still. I know you explain a lot. So can you do a little example or something?
I would love to. I actually happen to have your human design chart, Riya, and then hopefully we can show a little bit about what human design is all about by looking at your human design chart. So this is essentially...
I got lost. What is this?
Exactly. So what you're looking at is essentially a blueprint of your energies. And there are lots of different human design charting programs. So depending on which one you use, they are all going to look just a little bit different. But the main aspects of human design from one to the next will remain the same. And another thing about your design is that it never changes throughout your life. You'll be influenced by the environment and by other people, and those energies are constantly around us, but your design stays the same no matter, your life path. So, and that can actually be a really comforting thing. What's nice is that you can start your journey anytime, anywhere. So what you're looking at is what's called the human design body graph. And this is essentially the tool that human design practitioners, specialists, consultants, readers use then to see what gifts and talents and attributes any individual brings to the world. And it's based on birth data. So there's no assessment to take. It's essentially knowing accurate birth information from your birth date, your birth time, and your birthplace. And what comes up are these numbers, and this chart in the middle that you see, it looks like the outline of a body. So these various colored in and white aspects, shapes, and lines and numbers are essentially a representation of the imprints that happen at different points shortly before you're born and at the moment of your birth. And so this essentially then tells us who you are in a nutshell.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I got a lost look at all of this stuff. I don't understand anything. I think a lot of people, maybe many people in here, if they are not professional of what you do, they will get lost. Can you just tell me a little bit about? So you say from this chart you can see who I am. So from this chart, it's showing up who I am. I'm really curious to know.
Absolutely. So you'll see all of the different colors. There are some shapes within the actual body graph itself, and those are energetic centers. So those are essentially thematic or archetypal energies. So very similar and actually springing from the Hindu chakra system. These centers then can tell you certain aspects about yourself. So for example, at the very top, there's a triangle that points straight up and actually comes out of the top of the head, as you can see.
That's a yellow triangle.
Exactly. It's outlined in yellow. This one happens to be white. So that means you have what's called an open or undefined. It's actually an undefined head center, which means you're really open to inspiration from outside. It means that you also have inspiration and you take in ideas in a way that is not fixed. You have a very variable way in which your mind and your inspiration and ideas operate. Conversely, the center just underneath it, which is called the ajna, that upside down green triangle is actually colored in for you. And of course, everyone's designs are different. Some might have this open. You, in fact, have it defined. And it being defined means that the way you conceptualize information is actually quite fixed. You might have very fixed opinions, ideas, strategies in how you think. This is all about conceptualizing. And so you're more fixed in this way, where someone who has this center open might, change their opinion about things, where you might have a more fixed opinion about things and a more set way of ideating and conceptualizing.
So does that mean I'm more stubborn? So it's
exactly. People, exactly. Yes. So exactly. And that's an interesting thing about each one of these centers and the themes surrounding it. They do have what might be considered shadow or low frequency expressions. So yes, stubbornness is a very common low frequency expression for someone who has this center colored in like you do.
I would think changing the style, but maybe can say I'm very plain-eyed. So have my own ideas and
Exactly.
always. So you say I'm very open. That means so because I always concern myself is have a higher intuition. So tap in high
Exactly.
energy, then come in to accept that, then become my own opinion. Is that what I understand? Sorry, I don't know. Just
A
follow.
little bit, a little bit. Opinions really float around more in this ajna center, where intuition is a little bit different. So a couple of centers down, you'll see you have this wide open, completely deactivated center right in the middle of the chest area. And that is essentially the identity center. And the fact that it is completely open.
Is that heart chakra?
It is part of the heart chakra, exactly. So in the human design system,
yellow one you talk about it.
In the human design system, there are actually two centers that comprise what would have been traditionally the heart center. And this is a big part of it. Absolutely. So this center, this diamond-shaped center in the middle, it's called the G center or the identity center. And because yours is wide open, that means you may have struggles with identity, love, and direction, but it also means that you can play with those ideas, that your direction in life is not fixed, that your ability to love different people in different ways is very open. And also, it means that you are highly intuitive in conjunction with the center just to the left and down from that, where you see a lot of different connections kind of coming out of, but it's still a white triangle. That center tells me that you are also, it reinforces that intuition that you have. And you actually have an activation there. You'll see a number 57 in that triangle. That is the gate of intuition. And that's frankly the most intuitive energy in the entire human design chart. So that tells me that you are you are highly intuitive. Yeah, there's a lot that you have going on here with regards to intuition, frankly. Yeah. So that's definitely one theme that I see in spades here. You're capable of incredible breakthrough insights for the people that you work with. And you also are able to share those breakthrough insights in a way that they understand, that essentially you're able to universalize really big concepts for people in a way that they get. So that's a real gift that you have.
That's beautiful. That's good to know, because yes, I already feel each time. I think the most fulfilling moment for me is when I'm working with my clients. They have that breakthrough moment, that traumatic shift. That's when I see that, I always feel more fulfilling.
Yes, absolutely. Some other things to really note about the chart itself: the numbers on the right and left-hand side represent very distinct archetypal energies. The ones at the very top, and essentially in descending order, those energies have an influence in your, in playing out, in expressing themselves. So the ones at the very top are essentially the most prominent energies. And each of those little squares represents a planetary.
Talk about now, I'm got lost. Can you put the words?
So yes, so you'll see that they're little numbers in those squares and little shapes. And each of the shapes represents a planet or a planetary body. And essentially, the ones at the very top, on the right and left-hand side, the two at the very top are the sun and the earth. And those represent essentially 70% of the energy that influence your expression here in life. So you could even go so far as to say that these really represent, in very large part, your purpose. And you'll see something written over on the left-hand side called incarnation cross. And those numbers, those what are called gates, actually make up this incarnation cross, which in human design is essentially akin to your life purpose. So that information is really important to know. And interestingly, at the very top right hand, you'll see that 57. You'll see that number there. Again, that is the gate of intuition. So you are essentially here to be an intuitive channel. Yeah.
That's how much the number is the highest one? What is number is the lowest one?
So there are 64 gates. And and here's another thing that's really interesting is that every person has every single bit of this energy. It's just that some have certain parts defined and some have certain parts open. So you'll see some people that have every center colored in, and they might have 9 what are called channels, the little lines that connect the centers. They might have 9 or 10 channels. In your case, you have only 4 what are called defined centers that are colored in and 2 defined channels. So you would be considered someone who's very open, energetically speaking. So that means you're here to receive energy, to take in energy from other people and the environment and interpret it and play with it. You're here to essentially learn from the intake of all of that energy and to apply meaning. And of course, you're going to do that through your intuitive sense. You also are highly emotional and you have a lot of emotional connectivity.
A lot of heart centers, sensitive with my heart center.
Exactly. Highly sensitive, indeed. And what's really interesting is you have a direct connection to spirit, to source energy. Very, very spiritual chart here. So that's another with the open head like you have, and the emotional center, which is the one, the triangle, the little brown triangle just opposite the intuition center. That's the emotional solar plexus. And that center essentially says that you are designed to make decisions based on your emotional clarity. And this means that you need to take your time whenever you're making decisions in life. The more time you take, the better. And never should you feel pressured by anyone or anything to make a decision, particularly when it's a substantial decision. Again, if you're ever feeling pressure to make a decision, then whatever it is that's coming to you is probably not for you.
That's interesting. In my whole life, I always make decision very quick.
So that's probably not a very aligned way to make decisions for you. Now, the fact that you have the pink center that's connected to that brown emotional center, that pink center is called the sacral. And that one center means that you have incredible, sustainable life force energy. It also means that you can, in fact, listen to your gut and rely on its wisdom. So You have an incredible ability to know what's right or not right for you just by tuning into your gut reaction. So you can essentially, if someone asks you a question, it's best if they ask you in the form of a yes or no, as in, do you like coffee? And you would respond, uh-huh, or uh-uh, and try and make it as immediate as possible without letting your head get in the way, because the gut reaction is fairly quick. It's pretty much an immediate response. And you'll know by listening to your gut, by listening to that center, that sacral center, whether something is actually correct for you or not. But you should always, with big decisions, with substantial things, wait at least 24 hours and then ensure that you're still feeling that it's the right thing for you. Because oftentimes those of us, and I'm like you, I have this same decision-making process. And oftentimes we can get ourselves in trouble by making decisions quickly because we feel like, ooh, that sounds great. And then the next day we're thinking, oh, I wish I hadn't said that because today it doesn't sound so great. So yeah, it's really best to wait at least 24 hours. And if you can actually extend that, in particular, if you're feeling any emotional feeling around a particular decision, to continue to wait until you feel neutral, clear. Yeah. And make sure that what you're doing is the right thing.
Thank you, Gwen. For my understanding is just I'm more aware of my gut feelings, less to think, more aware of my gut feeling.
Exactly. Right? I will say that there is not a single human on the planet that's actually built or designed to make decisions from their head. So it's interesting. We're all designed to make decisions through various processes, but not a single one of them is using our heads. And while our heads are great at helping us figure certain things out, calculations, data, etc., they're not really good at making big life decisions. It's like asking a computer, where you should live. It's just not, you're probably not going to get a great answer.
Interesting, I heard now. So because I learned in my life doing all many things, make decision, is more following my heart. What is my heart feelings? So now I have another awareness, more aware where's my gut feelings.
Exactly.
So is the gut and is the heart, are they in the same alignment? If I'm in the same alignment, that's the decision I should make, correct?
That's probably not a bad way to go about this, Riya, because your heart is likely a very good indicator, how you describe that, of what your feelings, where your emotions are. And absolutely, if you can get an alignment between the gut and how you're feeling, that's truly going to be the right way to go for you. But yeah, if you're ever feeling a conflict, by all means, wait a little while longer until you feel a more settled sense within yourself, and never again feel like you should make a decision that you haven't felt your way through. And again, always feel like you have permission to let things go if they're not right for you. And, if someone's pressuring you to make a decision quickly, walk away from it, because it's very likely not the right thing. Very likely not the right thing.
Yeah, so, well, thank you. Thank you, Gwen. That was really helpful. I learned something new today. That Absolutely. Is beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think we all make any, if if some decision is really important in your life, you need to take some time. Don't feel the pressure, not cut off in your inside your head to think about too much. It's more connected with your heart feelings. Then more. So usually I learned in my life is when I need to make the bigger decision, I always meditate.
Exactly. And yeah,
to connect with my energy center, like you said. So it's not just my gut, my head. So it's makes a harmony. Where is that react in my heart, in my body? Then connect with
exactly.
my intelligent head if I have one.
Exactly. And always avoid making decisions when you're feeling emotional, when you're feeling either really high emotionally or really low emotionally. And a lot of the people that I have worked with, when they start leaning into the correct and aligned decision-making process, just that one thing, if they can do that one thing, their lives really transform. I have seen people's businesses completely change, their relationships completely change, all for the better because they're using their energy in the correct way. And all of a sudden, the path opens up for them. Doors open, opportunities show up because they're essentially utilizing their energy in the way that they're designed to be. And so I always also encourage people to experiment with this and to figure out what it is that actually works the best for them.
It's beautiful. We can stop sharing this screen, come back to our.
Absolutely.
So I think it's yours.
Yes, I am having a problem. Hang on. There we go.
Yeah. Wow, that is a beautiful way to learn. That I think it's really interesting. I think a lot of people will be interested to learn we always keep learning every day. Like I learn in so many ways to understand who I am. Use different Ayurvedic, use the sound healing. Now I have a new one is human design. But all there, I find the interesting things. No matter what we use, they all come to the center. So who you are, that never changed.
Exactly.
So only things can be changed is you keep learning, keep evolving, and getting better, than getting quick, getting better than getting more happier when you know who true you are.
Exactly.
Right? There is nothing wrong and nothing right with who you are. Just be grateful. I think not grateful. I should say it's blessed. I'm really blessed to who I am.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can always go by one rule in life, Riya, and that's if you're doing something and it feels good, it's probably the right thing. If you're doing something and you're miserable, it's probably not the right thing. That's a really simple philosophy.
That's a simple way. It doesn't. You don't need to look at that a lot of different way to prove. Just simple things. If that things make you miserable, probably it's not good for you.
Exactly.
Right?
And if frankly, yes,
bring a lot of joy. Like now, what I do, I really enjoy what I do. I really passionate. Even as I sometimes I feel I work like doesn't have enough time to do what I want to do. Work over 10 hours a day, but I still feel that passion. So probably I'm in a good place to do what I do.
Exactly.
Right? Just need to get a little bit better to manage my time.
Precisely. You can really tell just by looking at you that you find joy in what you do. And for, someone like you, when you are in a place of joy, whether your work is, 10 hours a day or whether it's 2 hours a day, if you're finding joy in it, you can really even question, is it work? And that's truly the aligned path. That's the path of joy. That's the path of ease. Yeah, that's an experiment that you can say is a successful one.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I remember once my friend was asking me, say, Riya, do you ever celebrate your personal with your professional life? Do you ever not talk about your work when you in your personal life? I said, wow, I didn't know how to separate that because I live in every day to be more aware, every day doing the healing meditation. That's the things I enjoy. I don't think that is work.
Exactly.
That is what I'm living out. So I don't have a job from 9 to 5 after home and cut off. Don't have to think about that. But I enjoy living the life. Just doesn't matter personal or it's my professional. Because I embodied with both together.
Precisely. Yes. If you can blur the line between work and, and home life, and you truly don't really see the division, then yes, you have truly achieved something pretty magical. That is really like a beautiful way to live.
Thank you, darling. So thank you for being on this show, share your knowledge, share your stories, and share this. This was fun. This is fun podcast. I haven't been host for a while. So let us know how, if someone very interested about your work, so how do they can find you? What is best way they can connect to you?
So I am on Facebook. You can find me at I'm Coach Guin on Facebook, or my business page is Unlock Your Superpowers.
Oh, I like that.
Exactly.
Superpower. It's kind of, we have something similar, like mine is Unleash Your Spatial Power. Unlock
yes,
your superpower.
Love that. Exactly. And then you can also find me on Instagram under Guin White, or at Guin White, and at Unlock Your Superpowers. I have both of those identities there. And then my website is just my name, guinwhite.com. So easy peasy.
Thank you, Gwen. And all of you are here to watch this. And also you can find the Gwen's information in the later. We will be post more under the comment area. So make a comment below. So I want to hear your stories, to come here to share your stories then with us. Thank you, Gwen. Very blessed to have you here. And really enjoyed our conversation. And I hope everybody here is the same, enjoy that as I do.
Thank you so much, Riya. I have had such a great time being here. I always enjoy basking in your amazing energy. Thank you.
Thank you.